Hi guys, and welcome back to another YouTube video. In this video I'll be going through my AFL fantasy review of the Essendon vs Geelong game and going through how players went, who's going to be, who did really well, etc. As it was an alright game. Not Hawthorn, I was thinking of Hawkins. Geelong pretty much dominated from most of the game. Essendon were only really in the game at the start because of their kicking. I think they had something like 8 goals straight, so that kept them in the game. They were down something like 84-36 or something at one point, and they kicked 6 goals straight. So they really could have easily been about 50 or 60 points down at that point, and that would have been pretty much game over. I mean, Hawkins did kick 8 goals, and it looked at a point that he might actually outscore Essendon, as he kicked, I think, 5 out of the first 7 or 8 goals. So before we get into it, remember to like and subscribe, turn the notification bell on so you know when I upload. And I just wanted to also point out that this is a new camera angle. The camera is on top of my monitor, so if you guys like it, put that down in the comments. It's different compared to the other angles, as I had like tripod, I guess, to put it on, and if you want me to return to the other one, put that in the comments as well. So let's get into the video. So as you can see here, I've done the same with the as I usually do, and let's get into the players. So Parrish was top scorer for Essendon, 1-2-1, and yeah, did a really good second quarter. I mean, that was when I'm pretty sure Essendon tried to come back into the game, and yeah, he had a ridiculous game in the end pretty much. And if I was looking at some other stuff, so let's search up Parrish. He ended up with, obviously 1-2-1, ended up with 38 touches, a little bit handball heavy, so that's not the best, and only 4-4, which still got him to 121. So he's been actually in pretty good form, and other than these two, his lowest for the year is a 94, which is pretty good for a premium. Like, if we look at it last year, I think some of the, like, Brayshaw even had a game where, even though he averaged like 110 last year, he still had a game or two where he got a 70 or a 90, etc. So we're still looking at guys here that are pretty, they're pretty high scoring. So I'm just sort of waiting for that, you know, when they have to dip sometime. Like, it's statistically they should dip at some point, and I'm just waiting for this 70 game from some of these guys, and I think it will slowly happen across the season, where like one round we'll get 2 or 3 premiums that don't score, and then the next round we'll get a couple more. And we're just talking about, instead of those 90 games, we're talking about those 70s and stuff, especially because I think this was the game that Will Setterfield had, where he just didn't get involved. He had the role, but he just didn't get involved. He just got dominated by Dangerfield pretty much the whole day. Stringer had like 4 goals something. Let's look. I think he ended up maybe 4 goals 1, I want to say. I think he kicked a lot. Yeah, 4 goals 1 in the end, 17, 9, and 5. He is the type of guy that could easily be a Jezza Cameron and score 3 or 4 goals a game, honestly, and have some time in the midfield as well and be able to score 90 or 100. But he just is so lazy in some games that it's like he doesn't bother to turn up. Nick Martin did all right. Wiedemann kicked 5, I think it was. Hobbs actually had a really good game, but his break-even is just terrible. Merritt came back all right, but this is the type of game that I was talking about, an 82, so that was kind of a dip for Merritt. His first game under 100. Shield was all right, but again, he burnt a lot of people again. Caldwell, Durham, McGrath. McGrath had another disappointing game. He came back in the second half to put up a 40 second half, I think it was. Yeah, 40 second half to save his score a little bit, as 26 at halftime. I was so pissed off. And yeah, he could have easily, like, even here, he was on 7 at like halfway through the quarter, and he only ended up on 10, and I don't think he came off, like, I think he came off between these two as well, so don't think he came off in the 13th to 31st minute, and he just didn't score. He got burnt so many times, and I just don't like him in the lineup, especially with Redmond there, because Redmond is a horrific kick. One of his kicks literally directly led to a goal without it. I don't think an Essendon guy touched it. Like, he just kicked it waywardly, tried to switch it without actually looking, and it landed closer to 2 Geelong players than it did to a Essendon player. And that was one of his short kicks. And, like, If I go over to the AFL, they're probably going to... If you look at his stats without actually looking at the game, it'll probably be an alright game. But if you actually looked at the game and watched him play, you'd be like, why is he still playing? We look here, we look at player stats, we look at... I want to look at disposal efficiency. Setterfield had a horrific disposal efficiency. Tanner Bruin actually played well, to be fair. Perkins Parish, Mason Redmond 68%, and Andy McGrath 75%. So he's always been above Andy McGrath below Andy McGrath by 7-8%. And if we look at turnovers, Setterfield 7, Redmond 5 turnovers ahead of McGrath 3 and 1, and Redmond was 5 and 8 clangers as well. If that doesn't, he had 3 more clangers than the next worst on the ground. If that doesn't tell you anything about, he put up a 6.2. What did Andy McGrath put up? I'll go to here because it'll be easier. Andy McGrath put up a 7.4. So Andy McGrath, even though Redmond scored a goal, which I'm sure is going to boost him up from like a 4.2 to a 6.2 or something like that, Andy McGrath still outdid him in the ratings. So everything points to Andy McGrath being a better kick than Mason Redmond, yet they like it in Mason Redmond's hands because he likes to go long and has a 5 meter more kick than Andy McGrath. It's eerily similar to the Swans, except Nick Blakey actually has a decent kick and an accurate kick. Like, he's 5-10 meters longer of a kick than Lloyd, but he also has an accurate kick, so his kickouts actually find a man once in a while. Whereas I think maybe one kickout from Redmond found a man, and that was a Wiedemann contested mark over about 10 guys. So Redmond's just horrific. Hind, Setterfield, we talked about. Perkins, Cirque Thatcher. No one else here really impressed at all and is fantasy relevant. And we go over to Geelong, and it was Tom Hawkins' day. He was on 58 at quarter time. That is ridiculous. And we're talking about a guy here who he kicked a career high when he's like 34, 35 in terms of goals. He kicked 8 in the end. And honestly, if it wasn't for who went on to him? Someone went on to him. It wasn't Dirk Thatcher was horrific on Hawkins. They're the same height, but Hawkins has probably, I'm guessing, 8 to 10 kilos on Dirk Thatcher. And it really showed as he was just able to shove him out of the way. Illegally or legally, I don't really know, to be honest, with Hawkins. It looked actually legal this time. But he just looked really good. And then who did they put on him? I don't know who they put on him, but whoever they did, I don't think it was Ridley. I don't know who it was necessarily, but they put someone on him, and was it Kelly? I don't think it was. But they put someone on him, and it basically stopped him to a certain extent. He only kicked, I think, 2 goals in the following, 3 quarters. Was he on 5 at quarter time? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 goals, 1 at quarter time. And I think they switched him maybe here or somewhere. They switched him maybe for the second half, as he only kicked 2 in the second half. It was still dangerous. Stewart really did well in the second and third quarter, then just decided, don't have to play, the game's done and dusted. And yeah, turned out a 113. That's exactly what I brought him in for, and he's going to rise, I think. And he's finally, I think he's more sure-footed in terms of he's not going to get injured again, etc. Or he's not going to be tentative with his, I think, was it his ankle that he did? I want to say it was his ankle or lower leg that he did, and I think he's fine now, and he's going to pump out. His average is only 81, but if you look at his past scores, if we go over here, that sort of gives away some trades. Since he's come back here, it's 5 games that he's played, and in the last 5, he's averaging 101. So that 81 is sort of deceiving, and if you could, I'd be getting him as he has the perfect buy, and he is probably... should be the number 1 trade in Target if you don't have him. Dangerfield, Blickarves, Cameron, Guthrie, Holmes. Cameron a little bit down. He just honestly let Tom Hawkins do it, as Tom Hawkins had the great matchup this week. And I mean, Cameron still kicked 1. What did he kick in the end? 3 still? He still kicked 3, and it was a bad day at the office for Cameron. That's how good he is, to be honest. And I wish he was wish he wasn't playing for Geelong in a good side, because he just makes a side 10 times better, to be honest. Guthrie, Holmes, Myers, close. No one else here is really interesting. Duncan, again, having another bad quarter. I mean, another bad game, to be honest, in general. And yeah, his price is absolutely tanking. Tanner Bruin came on and scored a 58, so his like top scorer of the year came on as a sub. So that was, it's kind of frustrating, to be honest, that watch him pick up form now that he's had a break from the side and can actually be used in the right role. And then no one else here is really interesting. Bo's got subbed out with a hamstring, I think it was. So he's out for a couple of weeks. And that might mean that I have to change my draft stuff to get him out. But that's the video there. So I'll switch back to the main screen. That's the review of the Essendon versus Geelong game. And I'll catch you guys in another video. Thanks, guys. Goodbye.